execute on it a little bit better to put themselves here into a winning position. We've got the draft now though, and we'll get to see, right, what we're expecting from Rate. Is that topside focused Domino, maybe a bit more slower paced? But first, round of drafts in for us.
A TF banned, like we've seen before, Raid Gaming not being allowed to play, but unluckily, I'm super happy for this. No Corgi, please, no Corgi today, guys. But as the Thresh get removed, we start seeing some of these actual skillful champions also being taken off the table.
Yeah, Peeper's been playing Thresh for long before the days of sort of B1 Thresh era, so more than happy to see that one get out of the way. Red side bans, we've got Corki, obviously certainly a very potent style of champion, and with Caitlyn, you expect maybe the Jinx as well to be taken off the table. Caitlyn Prio, so far in Div 2, has been a little bit misplaced. It really does depend on what teams we're expecting to see, but I love that we're already getting to see a little bit of a pinch down on the bot side of Summoner's Rift. It, plays quite nicely into Rate. If there's no topside bans, we expect them to be able to take whatever they desire up there, and with Lee Sin off the board, sort of still got that Jarvan Sinzao Viego up, the Jarvan, and then the junglers all still fairly open for the taking.
Now, so with less bans towards this top side, then the Riven coming in as the last ban, but what do you think Domino will pick? Do you think they go for the top lane straight away and say, okay, we want the strongest top lane in the meta, or do they want to try and hold on and maybe get the counter pick, or maybe just go down Janna top?
No, you can't blind Janna. You can't blind Janna top. That's just not a thing that's possible. You open yourself up to Teddy just being able to free farm and scale up into a very scary presence. It turns out though that going for that very strong top laner is something that we've seen the Gwen picked up now. Worth mentioning, this can be a flex pick. We've seen this be played in the jungle as well. So Ripped or Sidon going to be able to take this one for themselves, and they'll have to still utilize red side 5 pick for Rate to fully flesh out where this Gwen is going to be going. Zinzao as an answer, I love this just because it denies the double front line of Domino, where sort of you can't buy space with using your ult, using your W, and immuning an AD carry for the next 10 seconds of a team fight. Jinx comes through as the ADC of choice. Again, really focal PowerPoint of the bot lane. So maybe we get to see a bit of a different look for Rate here with a Jinx on the board. Things like Thresh, which have been banned away, but also the Nautilus for Domino certainly goes up in priority, just because you can use that ulti to immune and sort of disengage what a Jinx looks to do. Press R and she can't team fight.
So a few top lane picks coming through a top lane and jungler, but now we are starting to look towards the bot side as the Senna is followed up upon. Senna has been nerfed in the patch we're playing at right now, 12.2, so maybe not an AD carry. Senna is up in the air, and an interesting hover, maybe a shout out to Nymera there as he flicks through the entire champion pool of mid laners.
Yeah, in 12-3, Ari, certainly a champion worth pivoting through. Zilean comes in here, and that could well be support. Doesn't typically synergize too well with the Senna, but it could be a farming Zilean, and then you just allow Jinx, allow the Senna to get those souls as and when you so desire. Lulu picked up for the Jinx, certainly a very highly prized duo down in that bot lane, tends to be able to run the lane quite easily. But now we head into the second phase of bans, and we've got solo laners pretty much unpicked for. Gwen could be a top laner, could also be a jungler, but we expect to see probably some mid laners taken away from Domino here to deny what should be a blind pick for Toppy in the mid lane if they're saving counter till R5, but we'll have to wait and see, because for Rate, they're taking away those supports, not being baited in by this potential Zilean bot lane.
That's exactly what you said earlier. The Nautilus up in priority for Domino after the Jinx had been locked in, so obviously taking off the table, a smart choice here for Raid as we look to see what Domino now will ban away. Maybe still staying towards the top lane as they want to try and limit Arcane's Teddy impact this game. They remove his Renekton, which he does have quite some success on in the split.
Yeah, Camille also a big champion for Arcane Teddy, but into the Gwen. Not necessarily the best matchup. I know that a lot of people have been picking Gwen into the Camille specifically. But for Domino here, taking away top laners makes a lot of sense if they want to just ban out champions that do well into the Gwen and then take the Gwen into the top lane. That works just as well here. And you can see as soon as the top lane ban comes through, something that's good into the Gwen, Rate start thinking, maybe this Gwen goes into the top lane, let's take away a jungler as well. For Domino, there's this double flex pick that they've got for themselves, the Gwen and the Zilean, where we've got top lane and jungle and then mid lane and support respectively. Really makes these second round of bans quite difficult for Rate, so it's certainly a good look for Domino's draft thus far, and they have got some insane scaling with the Senna and the Gwen already in their back pocket. But we talked about how Rate want to play their game. If they get those early leads, this is kind of good for Rate, because Domino's early game not going to be quite as strong as it needs to be to survive.
Domino have been quite in the early game, right? Looking to play for these team fights as well with the draft. Now the mid laner coming through. Makes sense. They want to keep that counter pick for Arcane Teddy. They want to be sure where this Gwen is going. So, what are you expecting to see here out of Domino?
We've still got things like LeBlanc, Syndra, two mid laners that have worked fine into the likes of a Victor. We'll have to wait and see what Shaolin ends up going for. He's even played the Azir, I believe, once or twice so far. So could end up taking that one through if he, wants something a little bit more scaling as well. Tom Kench comes through, and we're continuing with the flex picks here because Tom Kench can be top lane, can be support. We'll have to sort of see whereabouts is best placed for him. Senna Tom, of course, a very potent lane, so you may well expect to see that be the case. Well, this is sort of why we see Rate pick their mid laner now, because they don't know where the top lane's going to be. Hopefully, it all becomes clear with this B5 answer. Have to wait and see what they go for. It is the Camille, so then everything sort of slots into place. Your Camille goes into the top lane. Senna Tom Kent's going to be the bot lane. Gwen jungle, Zillion in the mid lane. And now Arcane Teddy can pick what he chooses to answer this Camille in tow. Could be something along the Jax lines here. Has been a fairly stable answer to the Camille in times gone by. But if he's got something else in his sleeve, we'll have to find out.
That is actually a super interesting thought. I would be excited to see the Jax up in the top lane, but instead, something else that is exciting and also very annoying to play against. It is the Fiora pick. So Arcane Teddy sticking to his roots of being a carry top laner, but Raid also having the chance to play through that bot lane with Lo-Fi getting the Jinx and having an enchanter to help him out.
Yeah, and we talked about the scaling aspect of Domino right here, but they've still got to go up against a Victor and a Jinx in the late game, which is, as far as late game team fights go, that's kind of the Exodia of Season 12 right now. Having those two in your composition just means your late game team fights are incredibly strong innately. Having an Enchanter as well, who's going to scale very well into the late game to help out Lo-Fi, even help out Born This Way and Arcane Teddy on the top side, so that they don't die when they're diving on forward. Fiora, of course, incredibly obnoxious as a dive style champion, can also be very strong in a side lane. And the reason that you see Fiora then picked into the Camille is the answer in the split push. Camille, of course, when released, was this insane split pusher. Fiora found to be the counter that, if you want to split push, I can split push better. The issue in this top lane matchup is when you start to get to those team fights, typically you see the Camille have a little bit more agency and autonomy to make plays happen.
Exciting draft we have been given here today. I am very excited for the mid lane matchup as well. I have heard Kadril and I've seen Kadril streams, and if there's one thing he likes to play recently, it is that Zillion mid. He's been spamming it, he's been getting back to Challenger simply by playing that pretty broken champ. I did try it out myself once, didn't work, but that's because I'm bad at League, so that's another problem. That is my own problem to fix. So, the Zillion matchup up against the Victor, how do you think that will be going?
Oh, we're gonna fall asleep if we watch that mid lane matchup.
Okay.
Zillion bombs the wave, Victor eats the wave. It's very
Wave
boring.
here.
Yeah, exactly. It's essentially Victor. I remember watching Victor Morgana mid lanes back in season 8 or something, and it was exactly the same. Absolute snooze fest for the most part. But yeah, the Zillion in the mid lane is really to facilitate the other carries that they've got on the map. Imagine a Gwen with double her movement speed charging at you, right? Those types of issues that you are going to run into at some point here in this game. The Camille as well, also going to be thriving with that extra movement speed that Zillion can give you. And it means that you don't have to land your bombs necessarily. You stick a bomb on the Gwen, stick a bomb on the Camille, they just dash forward and then take the damage into the backline for you. Also, the rank 1 EU player in at least mid lane, or was playing a lot of Zillion, Magifelix, Magifaker, however you want to call him. That's certainly where this Zillion has sort of stemmed from. I know that's where Kjo took his inspiration from. So it's good to see it passing down and figuring out that, hey, not just Bjergsen's playing this in competitive play.
Yeah, take your inspiration from the best, and let's see how it works now in the competitive rift. We are about to head into the game, but before we really get into that, Root, I have one main question, because I hear you talk about good things about Domino's draft, good things about Raid's draft, but who do you think won this draft phase in terms of how you would expect this game to be played?
I like Rate's draft in terms of what we wanted from them. I think that both of these teams have set themselves up for their win conditions nicely, because if Domino get to the late stages of this game, they've got a lot of tools to dish out damage. If Rate are able to utilize the Xin Zhao Fiora on the top side, they've got a lot of ways to snowball the top lane matchup. Obviously, the key cooldown in that top lane matchup is going to be Camille's hook shot. I actually played this matchup yesterday, got autofilled, but essentially, Camille in this lane, if you're able to save your hook shot and you get engaged on, you can quite easily get away. It does require some finicky timing, some tight timing on the Xin Zhao knockup when you're traveling to the wall to be able to get out to safety and then prevent it as such. if you are on rate side. So we'll have to wait and see if this top lane is going to be our focal point, our centerpiece here, because for the time being, I imagine rate want to try and leverage that. Gwen in the early stages of this game isn't expected to be that power jungler, is instead going to be hoping to be farming mostly for at least the early stages, typically where Xin Zhao is incredibly strong.
So we might see Sidon have a little bit of a more quiet game. Domino have been very quiet in the early games so far this split, as we talked about. Likes to flip it around the Baron, go for that one big team fight. If they win, they get a 7k goal lead. They snowball that cleanly, they end the game. But if they lose, the opposite happens to them, and that has happened more so often than not. But looking at Domino as an organization as a whole, obviously a Norwegian organization that honestly hasn't had much success. Looking at their roster, they finished 8th last split over Intelia Esports Series Norway. So considering they qualified for NLC Division 2, I am very surprised, and I think they have been doing an okay job so far. This organization, I believe, is about to be rebranding themselves as a more successful organization before, as in Norway, it was seen as, yeah, it's the guys you normally just beat pretty easily, but so far they have actually managed to get those 2 wins on the board.
Yeah, I think that when we took a look at the standings earlier on, it was good to see that we are seeing teams take wins off of everybody, and particularly yesterday, the Natives versus Ube game, you got to see it firsthand, right? We saw a 4-0 team lose to a 0-4 team. That this league is incredibly competitive, and with nobody having won all their games, nobody having lost all their games, everybody can beat everybody. And with Domino coming into this one 2-3, goes to show, has been proven here. We got the end of week 3's action now ready to get going, and as you can take a look now at your jungle paths right here. Born this way, it starts on the bot side. He's going to be pathing up to that top lane, pathing towards what they're hoping to be the strong side of Summoner's Rift, hoping to put Arcane Teddy in a good spot and keep Ripped down on this Camille, put this Fiora in a good spot to really thrive in the early stages of this game so that he can get to that late game split push Fiora style.
So Sidon also starting on his blue buff, but that is obviously the opposite side of the map, meaning he will be pathing towards the bot lane. Could he be looking for an early gank, or does he just say, no guys, I might be a jungler, but hey, I'm farming for myself this game?
Yeah, I think for the most part, you're expecting Sidon to look for those ganks. The gank setup down in this bot lane isn't bad by any means. You've still got the root from Senna, the knockup from Tom Kench once they reach level 2. There is obviously a gank angle, and the immobility of these two is going to make it quite difficult.
Wow. Arcane Teddy, both of these guys, matching in terms of their skill and skin, maybe. One first blood will come through. An exciting trade to start us off, however, as Arcane Teddy definitely wins that one.
Yeah, I mean, the Riptor started W in this matchup. There's levels of respect, and then there's next levels of respect right here. Taking the immuning damage spell on Camille, or rather, I forget who. Teddy hit level 2, didn't he, instead of the
He probably did,
round.
actually.
He also probably did hit W first on Camille in this fairly hard matchup. You can see Grasp of the Undying plus Ignite. It's kind of your way to cheat out the laning phase.
Jungle. Born this way is on the wrong side of the map, but maybe it works out as Raid has pushed in the bot wave and have rotated up as the first members, but the mid laner is not here. Topai leaving his team in a dire situation. Born this way being snapped down, and Chris picks it up. First blood. Lo-Fi does have the flash, but heal is used. Then flashes away. Another bomb comes out. Shaolin is able to get out of this one. So far, Domino, they pick up the kill. They get double buff on the AD carry. So that's a big win for the Domino boys.
It really is able to flash over the wall. They use all their summoners on the bot side of the Rift, but they come away with the double buffs, they come away with the kill, and they defend their jungler. Born this way, obviously losing out in that instance here, pathing into this Gwen's jungle, immediately searching for some early action. But hey, they come away with the win in that instance. They come out on top, and that's going to delay the Xin Zhao quite significantly. Would have loved to have got that red and got on out. He did manage to win the smite fight, but ultimately loses his life. So not quite worth it in that instance. And with Den just getting out on a slither of HP, there's certainly going to be a little bit of frustration, at least on the right side. I know I would be had I just had somebody get away on about 5-10 HP on both sides.
Yeah, Born this way maybe wasn't too happy about losing his red buff. I think it was just his internet, but did disconnect from the game. It was a bit of a tilt, maybe hit the Ethernet cable out of the computer. I don't know. Anyway, though, I want to talk a bit more about this bot lane, because Chris got the kill, got the double buff. Does this have any impact on how they want to play the game? Does Domino not just try and camp the bot side, get Chris so far ahead that he will be dealing a brick ton of damage, or where do they try and use this one kill?
I think that it's a I think the way that we've seen Domino play and the way that this draft is expected to play out is that double buffs is going to stabilize them more significantly. We saw that the Jinx Lulu were pushing in that bot lane, making it a little bit more difficult. We also got to see quickly that it is a Spectral Sickle Senna, so it is a fasting Senna farming Tom Kench. So those double buffs are just going to aid and abet the harass that she's going to be trying to put down here. You're able to get a little bit of extra health regen, a lot more mana regen as well. So taking those early scuffles, farming those souls off of the champions as well as the minions is going to be a lot easier for the Senna down on the bot side. And hopefully with the sort of kill coming through in that regard, you also get the gold into the right place as well. And you're able to mitigate the amount of force and the amount of pressure that we see be exerted by the Jinx Lulu.
Now, as we
That's about
also
it.
are, about the 4 minute mark, we are starting to get closer to the first objectives. Obviously, game is still paused, so we're not getting any closer at the moment. But when we start talking objectives, who would you say has the priority after this kill has been given over to Chris? Because we saw before that it was Raid being able to push out the wave with the Jinx rockets. Does that change coming up to this Drake?
I don't think so. Jinx is still going to have just more wave clear than a Senna, period, and Tom Kent specifically. Right, we've got Glitter Lance as well for a little bit of extra wave clear for the rate boys down in the bot lane. Your other determining feature, of course, then is going to be that mid lane. And post level 5, Zilean can actually just clear the back line of minions with one round of spells. So he's going to be able to establish priority in the mid lane a lot easier. And we got to see that from that roam into the jungle, where Zilean bombs are just a much better source of wave clear than Victor is early on, at least. You need level 7 plus your E upgrade on the Victor to be able to clear the backline of minions, and then still a few more autos after that to get rid of the full wave. So it really does come down to how well we're prioritizing, or who we're prioritizing a little bit more.
I do also believe we're about to head back into the game, but before that, I do want to throw in a quick fun fact there. There is one player in this game that has been playing for a region that could qualify for Worlds. It is Denden. He played back in 2016 in the TCL. Just a little bit of a fun fact. I didn't note down the team he played for, and I probably should have, considering I was going to use it as a fun fact, but, you know, you live and you learn.
You do, but still, hey, coming over from the TCL, it is an up and coming popping league, honestly. Certainly been a lot of exciting prospects, of course. Broken Blade coming from the TCL, so another highly prized Turkish player. Maybe we get to see Denden follow up to those same heights in a few years' time.
And just maybe as we are, hopefully soon getting back into the game. There we are. I did think I hear that someone has reconnected sound. So 4 minute mark, as I was talking about, Drake spawning in a minute, but until then, we'll see where this game takes us. The top side is nonetheless an exciting place to look as the trades continue to happen. But bot lane, maybe they commit here. They do still have the flash and Lo-Fi. I did not expect this to be an all-out brawl, but Chris, one also from going down, and the double buffs just get transferred. That is a disaster.
Jinx Lulu just winning on the bot lane. Surprise, surprise here. It's a very lethal combo. It may not seem like it's one that scales incredibly well, but also has this really strong laning phase here, particularly when you're seeing cooldowns go wide. Denden missing out on the Tongue Lash, doesn't commit his Abyssal Voyage, Abyssal Dive to anything there either. That's a large part of Tom Kench's CC capability, is his ability to knock somebody up. If he's not going to expend that cooldown, you're effectively operating without it. Now we get to see Born this way, working toward this top side. He's going to be spotted on a ward, and here's this Camille hookshot.
A good wall, but is it good enough? Hookshot, wall dive, and that is a very good spell, but the flash is also a key. Summoner spell, Arcane Teddy even picks up the kill, and the snowball is starting to be rolled here from Raid.
And look at where the wave is as well for Teddy on this top side. He can freeze this for eternity. Make sure that this lane isn't going to be pushed back out. They can repeat gank, repeat this effort, and keep Teddy getting these kills. He's going to be able to go back at least if he wants to hold it. He can just stay here, and with the sheen on Ripped here, it may make this laning phase a little bit more difficult. He TPs back into the top lane. You can see that Shaolin just working his way a little bit more toward the top side, because if this wave doesn't get pushed in all the way to the turret for Ripped, he's going to be in a very bad position for the next 5-10 minutes of this game, maybe.
Oh, waves being pushed back out. Drake has also spawned, but on his way. Did just recall, so nowhere near its side, and did step up and try and get some vision, but the bot lane from Raid, Lo-Fire, and Peep had moved up and scoured him out of the jungle.
All of these waves are in really good spots for right now. Both solo lanes at the very side lanes, rather, at the very least. Rate has got sort of free reign on what they do with this bot lane. Obviously, with a Jinx, you're fairly free control whether you want to push it back or just hit those last hits. With the Tom Kench sort of shoving this one as well a little bit, you do get pretty much free reign over whether you want to send it into the turret and fight around that dragon that you talked about, or whether they want to hold it and force Chris and Denden into a pretty rough spot.
Puppy in a bad situation, but yeah, as you say, use the flash, and he is able to get out A crucial cooldown gone for the potential Drake if they want to brawl about it, but Sidon did also use his Ghost, so in terms of summoner spells, you could theoretically categorize it as a 1-for-1.
Yeah, I think you can. Gwen without Ghost does become a little weaker, obviously, but now you can see Lowfire shoving in this wave. You can already see that Born This Way is on that dragon, and as you sort of talked about here, the early game priority around these Drakes has been rate favored, and I love it when teams go for this pre 8 minutes because you get one objective down on the bot side. They now have the opportunity, if they really want, to go back, swap their top and bot lanes to just get themselves even more priority on that Rift Herald as well. But Chris and Denden forcing a bit of a freeze here means that Lowfire and people are going to have to step up to clear this one out.
So let's see if they do end up rotating up towards the top lane for that Herald as well, but so far they're just staying towards the bot lane. Shaolin has just recalled and will be pushing out that mid lane wave, potentially trying to open himself up more and help any lane that might need it. But looking at the map state, it is just winning lanes all around the map for Raid.
Exactly. This is going to be what we were expecting from Raid coming in. Also what we were expecting from Domino. And our question was, well, Teddy's dead. Teddy's killed, sorry. Ripped is dead. Our question was, can they snowball? And we just got to see, yeah, you know, they're doing a pretty good job. That one gank in the top lane by Born This Way, now successfully gone into a kill.
The
This
level
lane is
difference.
getting bullied. Exactly. That is the important part.
Oh, here comes the magical journey, or not quite that, but the tongue lash does connect. Lowfire very low, the ignite ticks. But 1 or 2 more ticks would have been needed, and it wasn't quite there. Denden, though, did force a crucial summon as well, both actually out of Lowfire.
So a win on the bot side for the Domino boys. Fortunately, there's no objective to be gained for Rate on the bot lane, so they're not going to lose out on anything other than maybe a wave or 2 on the bot side. Rift Herald, of course, now being taken by the very strong top side of Rate. And this is that dive that we didn't get to see. Arcane Teddy finding the solo kill onto Rip. Tactical sweep goes wide, and Teddy just punishes that. Flash forward, I believe. There we go. Q even dodged out by Ripped using the Hextech ultimatum, but Teddy just had far too much health to work with, and more than capable of finding that solo kill. 3 vital procs within the space of a couple seconds there, and Ripped is getting absolutely shredded.
This is exactly the thing Raid wanted. You talked about it just before, but for Domino, their identity has been slowing the game down for the first 20 minutes, being even going into an important fight around maybe a Soul or a Baron, and then flipping the game there. But flipping a fight is not optimal if you have 3k gold behind, 4k gold behind even when you head into that 20-minute mark. And so far, Arcane Teddy getting 1 gank, now able to snowball that. Raid down towards the bot, and Lowfire and Peep have been able to build up a gigantic CS lead onto towards Denden. Obviously, Chris isn't farming, so we're not looking at that, but they're leading in every single lane. Mid lane is just wave clip, but still then, top high, 10 CS ahead.
Yeah, I think that this is a really good showcase of mid lanes. Exhaust used. Is he fine? Looks like he's fine.
Phase rush, very crucial there. Born This Way joining in. Shaolin might be a bit too far forward, didn't realize the jungler was there. And Chrono Shift used on himself, Needlework. A good Hello Mist actually to judge the Super Mega Death Rocket. The Railgun comes through, a bit more damage is all they need. Top High picks it up, and here comes Peep. Shaolin flashed away, and Born This Way lives, and everything goes right. Raid just dominating the map.
That's exactly what they needed. A nice 2 versus 2 in the mid lane. Yes, Peep comes through in the end to add a little bit of insults to injury, but just being a little bit desync there, Domino, unfortunately. We saw, obviously, Sidon goes forward, Shaolin a little bit before all of that, so they do end up effectively taking 2 versus 1s in Victor Zinzao situation. When Victor's already got his upgrade, that's not the best time to take those fights. And with the E already upgraded on top E, he's certainly going to be feeling pretty confident to take these trades. And you talked about this mid lane being fairly wave clear oriented. I think that the difference in CS is a really good showcase of how the lanes have played out the lane, because it's not easy to get farm on either of these 2 mid laners early on. Zillion even maybe a little bit more so, but Toppy coming out on top of that really does speak to the caliber of player and to how well he played this laning phase out to get to that upgrade without even a kill or an assist going his way. Now that he's starting to pick up that kill as well, it's going to accelerate him towards his next augment.
It will be another acceleration of game speed towards the spot lane as Born This Way is standing in the bush, no vision. The control ward denies that ward. Control ward in the tri-bush, so he can't walk over there or he will be spotted out. Goes towards the Scuttle instead, but he was planning on going there. Shaolin now looking towards the bot lane as well. Domino wants something back, not usual for them. They like to play it slow, but so far it looks pretty good as Lo-Fi will be going down here. The Devour is able to be used, but he can't quite soak him up yet. The CC comes through, the Chrono Shift is back online, and Chris takes down Lo-Fi. The W comes through, but gets cancelled. The Chrono Shift still saving the support. Den alive, but Shaolin loses his life, and Born this way has so much damage in his kit. He's solo carrying this fight, and it's working wonders. Raid, turn it around and make it a 1-for-1.
Early games in Zao, baby, and this is really good for Toppy in the mid lane as well. His laner roamed down to the bot side, died for an assist. He's going to be getting so much farm, so much gold, and they're even heralding down on this bot side to try and get this turret down. Fortunately, Chris and Den are able to stop that from fully happening. But you can see in the mid lane, all of those waves lost, all that experience differentialed. Level 8 to level 10 now. Toppy is absolutely loving life, even though his AD carry did go down. Doesn't matter because right now they've got two incredibly strong solo laners.
It certainly is strong carries that Raid have. They also now have 2 Drakes. It will be a Cloud Soul taking over and consuming the Rift 5 minutes to soul point for Raid. But everything is going that way. You talked about it, Tope getting the kills, getting the farm, top lane Arcane Teddy getting a few kills as well. Lo-Fi has died, but yeah, he's gotten a kill as well, and he's way ahead in CS. So everything is going Raid's way. And now the top lane, just look at this. It is absolutely brutal. Arcane Teddy didn't lose a single bit of HP there.
Yeah, really good riposte. Just riposted all of the true damage that Rip wanted to put down, and then says, thank you very much, I will take half of your HP. Incredibly well done. And if we just get a chance here to toggle the goals, you talked about the bot lane issues that may be happening for Den. You can see 3,200 his total gold right now versus the 4.6k that Lo-Fi has got. That death really does not mean too much when you are stacking so much gold in that situation. We've got a farming Tom Kench, and he's still behind on gold relative to the Lulu.
Oh, but just look at the mid lane as well. 1,000 gold might grow here. The Chrono Shift is up, but I don't think that is able to save you. The knock-up comes through on Sidon, and he just passes by. And he gets taken down instantly. Shaolin and Sidon gone again. Arcane Teddy gets another. 3 kills on your main carry. Your ADC is scaling. Your mid laner is ahead of the curve. Raid Gaming are dominating and looking so different than what they did just 2 days ago.
And now we have to see if they can extend this into a game win. They have got all of the pieces in place right now, Duckling, to take this win by storm. We have to wait and see if they can fully transition on that. They've got 2 Drakes, leads in every single lane, and no turret has been taken just yet. That's maybe the one thing that they've not fully capitalized on. The Rift Herald did get used down in the bot lane and didn't find a structure. Small win there for Domino, but overall you can already see that Ray are miles ahead of the curve this game, and now we get to see them playing from a position of power. Whether or not they can win the game or not, we still have to see.
We're 40 minutes in, man. Objective bounties are here already. Yep. That
Terrifying.
Is very early. Herald spawning just in this second as well, so there will obviously be a bounty on that, meaning Domino, if they're able to get it, they get a little bit of extra gold. But this is just rough, man. This is absolutely brutal. We expected Raid to be playing around the top side and slowly winning the game, and then I was actually guessing Arcane Teddy to carry a 20-25 minute team fight, which would then lead into the game win. But it looks like they've almost won the game already. They are playing so beautifully, so controlled, making very few mistakes. This Raid roster is stepping up.
And exactly what they needed to. That Rift Herald that you talked about spawning, potentially giving a little bit of extra gold over to Domino, is going to be denied immediately. There's nothing on the bot side for Rate to be playing for, so they just send Born this way up to the top lane. Of course, Arcane Teddy is miles ahead of Ripped right now. There's no chance of Domino being able to contest it. So that is going to be another objective secured here. I would expect them to try and use this in the mid lane, honestly, because trying to kill a Zillion's turret is incredibly difficult. He doesn't even have to get up to the wave to be able to clear it out. You put 2 bombs on your melee creeps as they're going to the wave, and they clear that out for you. And then we've got to level 9 now, as you can see right there. He's able to clear out a wave incredibly easily. So if you want to take down a Zillion structure, your best way to do it is when he's not in the lane, which we got to see top I already do a little bit of, but then you've got that Rift Herald to maybe do the rest.
Now, I know this is a hard question, but how does Domino find their way back into the game? Because they don't really have a win condition online. Chris needs way more items and doesn't get that much gold considering he's a support this game. So what is their main way of getting back?
This is a really good way that they've shown right there, is overloading one side of the map, creating a numbers advantage and just forcing a structure in your favor. Cross-mapping certainly a good way to find yourself a little bit of extra gold, particularly when these objective bounties are up. This trade of 1 for 1, certainly worthwhile. They get the first turret, they get the objective bounty on top of it. This is a good move from Domino right here to leverage a little bit of a gold lead back in their favor. So that is, rule number 1. I think they've got sort of number 2 is going to be a little bit more difficult. They want to keep this game nice and slow, but Rate, unfortunately, they've got 2 Drakes already. They're going to be looking to get that Cloud Soul very early, and there's no reason that they can't, which is kind of scary. Domino are going to have to try and find a really strong team fight or try and force a lot of gold on the other side of the map come this 3rd Drake spawn.
Let's stick with those Drakes, because in just 30 seconds, the soul point will be up for the taking. Raid likely to head over there the second it spawns, trying to take it down, maybe even use the Herald mid. You talked about how hard it is to open a civilian structure. The best way was that Herald. Hasn't been put down yet, but Born this way is there and able to put it down. Bit of damage comes through from Chris as the fight could be breaking out at any second. Sidon maybe looking for the engage here. TP from Arcane Teddy. You know how much they want the Drake when they invest the TP. They go in and they almost delete Chris, but he manages to flash away. The Chaos Storm will take him down. Chrono Shift will resurrect him. No! Oh, that just feels horrible. No, oh my. Oh, it just hurts to watch even. That was painful. He stepped back in intentionally to be resurrected, but instead he now knows what death tastes like for the 2nd time this game, and instead of going for the Drake, they're running it down mid. They're taking 2, maybe even 3 turrets.
They're going to get the charge on this inhibitor turret, and that's going to put Domino in a whole world of pain. Not only did they open the mid-tier 1, they get the mid-tier 2. The map just got exploded. Rate have got themselves exactly what they're looking for here. They were going to hope to try and find the mid lane tier 1 with that Herald at best. Unfortunately, Chris just stepping forward, stepping back, not getting too sure on the zillion timings did cost Domino huge there. Now, Ray, with the Drake Soul point, with 2 turrets in the mid lane, they have got ample access to the Domino jungle. This is exactly what you look to have to accelerate the pace of the game. They can keep Teddy in a side lane. Now with those 2 turrets down, they can walk into the jungle with impunity and put vision down as they desire. And this is the sort of replay. It's a good flash from Lo-Fi. They're just trying enough space. But yeah, Born This Way just absolutely destroys Chris.
Look at Chris. No, don't zoom in, Reed. This is brutal. Don't do it to him. Oh, look, he steps back in. And the second it ticks again, it disappears. Oh, no.
He steps out of one of them. He steps out of one of them when he would have died and gotten resurrected, and then steps back in to have the opposite happen. Not like this, man. That is peak. Not like this.
It just feels bad. Like, I can genuinely feel his pain. And I'm sitting here watching it through a screen. Anyway, though, Raid looking dominant. They are scaling up and they are looking strong. Almost 2 items on their main carries. 1.5 for now. Baron spawns soon, and if they get a good pick, they might lead it in to the next objective. Then it's a bit tanky considering how much gold he's gained this game, but not tanky enough for the damage. And Arcane Teddy into the backline. Chris might be resurrected this time around, but no. Lo-Fi, though, might get taken down, but Ripped doesn't have enough damage, and that's the way it ends. Sidon runs away, and it is a dominating fight for 8. They pick up 2, and they will now look for the Baron.
They've got Baron on the board in 15 seconds here. They're trying to take these late game team fights and take the late game objectives, but we're so early into this game still, Duckling, that the objectives just aren't up. They're going to take it pretty much on the spawn. And we talked about the fact that Rate have this early game composition, but we have to touch on once again, they've still got Jinx Victor in the late game. This isn't a composition that falls off that they have to win this game in. They're going to be powerful throughout the duration of this match until 50, 60 minutes when you're expecting Chris to be able to outpace, outscale, and outrange the Jinx. Baron goes down. We're 20 minutes and 18 seconds in. Baron has been taken. Rate are on Soul Point. They've got 2 items on their Jinx, their Victor, and their Fiora. This is everything they could have desired.
And I'm gonna be honest, I don't have the stat, but I do believe that is the quickest Baron we've seen in NLC Division 2 so far. I am pretty confident of it. It is at the very least one of the most dominant games that I have spent my eyes looking at. Anyway though, 2 minutes and 20 seconds until the next Drake. And earlier, you talked about Domino being able to slow down the game. Does a pause count?
That's what certainly one way. Slow the momentum, potentially, but this is still going to be a very difficult game. Domino, right? They're down 9,000 gold at this stage, which is a very large gold lead in a game where there's 70,000 gold in total. Having lost a little bit over sort of 15-20% of that to the enemy team is absolutely terrifying, particularly when we've got these late game scalers, as we mentioned, like the Jinx, like the Victor. This is everything that Rate Gaming would have been looking for. Really good build path as well from the Jinx. We've got Platinum Dancer plus the Kraken Slayer, so incredibly good single target damage, relying on Peep to be that shield buff to keep him safe if he gets dove on by Ripped. And you got to see in that last team fight pretty much perfectly that Ripped doesn't have the damage yet. Was 0-2, now 0-3 going into that fight. Just doesn't have any form of help from the team either to try and get away. We actually saw a little bit of a mismatch between what the two, we'll say, frontliners were trying to do, with Ripped and the Gwen trying to do different things. We got to see a little bit of a detraction. We got Gwen in the backline protecting and peeling this Senna, who at the minute, not particularly the highest presence, not particularly the highest threat on the squad. And peeling that Senna is great in the late game stages where she can just ramp out that DPS. Unfortunately, right now, just sitting on Kraken Slayer isn't quite ready to take down Teddy.
Yeah, and now I'm not saying that Orclis is a bad team, but when they were Orclis, they went 1-3, but they're looking to make it 1-1 as now a Danish organization. And I'm not biased or anything, but I do just believe that this might not actually be a player diff, but an org diff. I just think it is a small theory that I have that this could be something about the organization Raid just making good players better.
You could be right. You could be right. There's no concrete evidence yet. 1-1 is still 50-50. Obviously better than the 25%.
It's okay. I'll take it.
It's better. It's better, and that's what's important. They've still got to win this game, and to all intents and purposes, I think that they've done all the hard work right now. This game should be a lot easier than the early game was for them. They got 2 economy turrets still standing, and I say economy turrets because these 2 side lane tier 2s are packed with gold. If you're able to get that on even just one member, you're going to be absolutely loving life. We expect it to be Arcane Teddy, but at this rate, could also be Torpy in the mid lane from Rate down on that bot side. He can 1v1 anyone at this point if we look at the level disparities, level 14 versus highest of 13. Ripped, yeah.
He's gone. That is it. The grand challenge in used, a few more autos, a few more dashes, and it's just a kill. Baron buff towards the bot lane as top high. Look to take down one more turret. But on this way, they're just so strong. They are 10k gold ahead, 21 minutes in. They're taking over the whole map. Raid Gaming. I did not expect this, but I am pleasantly surprised. And Domino didn't even get to flip the game at 24 minutes.
The game may well be over at 24 minutes, honestly. That inhibitor, remember, it took a charge from the Herald, and now that Baron minions are going to be charging through, these inhibitor turrets are going to fall incredibly quickly. Look at this. They're just punishing on all sides of the map now.
All 3 lanes, man. All 3 lanes.
The waves aren't stacked. They're not crashing together, which is a little bit of an issue because Domino can move through and take the fights where they want.
Well, good double bomb actually. Did hit low fire and they might go for this engage, but in the flank, it is Arcane Teddy. Your AD carry's gone before the fight even started. Will get resurrected, however, with the chrono shift and then taken down. And as we talked about, it is simply too little too late. Low fire firing bullets after bullet into the backs of Domino. Triple kill. Could make it a quarter. Could we get the Penta? No, Sidon, give it to him. No, mine. Topa actually took it, so yeah, it's GG. Damn you, Topai. I wanted to get that pentakill. Anyway, though, Raid Gaming will be looking to close out the game here. 22 minutes on the clock. They don't even need the soul. They don't even need the game to be flipped because they just dominate in every single lane, every single aspect of the game. Raid Gaming crush Domino to bits.
They lost 2 kills and 1 bot lane tier 1 turret. Rate Gaming with an immaculate match right there. Not quite the perfect game that they may have been hoping for, but they showed their dominance in that one. And we talked about it coming in that anyone can beat anybody. 1-4 team absolutely destroying Domino there to take themselves now up to 2-4. An exceptional performance from everybody on the map. Everywhere was performing well, and they just outplayed them.
It was a hard game to watch, honestly. If you were a Domino fan, I wouldn't be surprised if you closed the stream. I know I would have personally done that because it was just so rough. You got the first blood and you were thinking, oh, maybe Chris now has double buff. He could look to neutralize the lane and get into the scaling position he wants to be at. And then he got solo killed 2v2. It just didn't work throughout any points of the game. And before we head into a break and we get into the interviews, Rude, I want you to give me MVP for this game.
Oh, that's actually very difficult. I'm going to go Born this way, actually, because he just impacted everywhere. And everywhere was set up for success based off of his map moves. Other than the level 1 or level 3 invade where he got killed at the red buff, he had an exceptional game and set up everybody. That top lane gank that he allowed Arcane Teddy to get the kill on and then just snowballed him into oblivion off of one single gank. I think that Born this way was where he needed to be at the right times and was able to set up the team for success exactly as needed.
So Born this way, the best performing player in this game. We'll head into a short break, then we'll be back with both interviews from the winning and losing team. So don't go anywhere. Grab some water maybe. See you after the break.